And welcome back to Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast.
I'm your host, Hatch.
I'm your host.
I'm your host, Hatch.
I'm your host, Hatch. With the other host.
Yeah, it don't matter. We still hostesses.
He's a hostesses with the mostesses.
Yeah.
Right? But today we have the dinosaur. That's what I'm going to call him. The dinosaur.
Dang,
Andrew Whitworth is in the building from the LA Rams, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, he too
My
big.
man, what's up with you, brother?
You too big for him to be calling you a dinosaur.
The dinosaur, man. This is the dinosaur. Man. He almost
extinct,
40 years
right?
old.
What? Yeah.
He almost 40.
I'm still here.
I'll just say the last of Mohicans. You know
There
what I
we
mean?
go.
Something
You
more
know,
That's
respectable.
better than a
Yeah, I got you,
dinosaur.
I got you.
I like the
that's-
dinosaur.
Like I'm still going.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
he's still-
That's respectable. You trying to put the man in the grave.
No.
Dinosaur?
No,
That's
but he's
like-
he's the guy
That's
though.
like old age. When it's just a negative connotation.
Are you the oldest offensive lineman in the
I am.
NFL right now?
Of course.
You take that with
I do take
honor.
some pride in that. Yeah, I take a
Absolutely.
little pride in that for sure.
Absolutely.
39, going on 40.
But you were considering retiring like a year ago, am I not?
You know,
Am I correct?
I think sometimes, T, that's a good it's a good thing to talk about every year. It kind of gives myself a little something to battle against. As I tell people, oh, this is it. And then I come out and still do my thing, and they're like, dang, you can't retire? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to retire.
So what's gonna
Nice.
what's gonna make you flip that switch and like, okay, I'm done?
I mean, the reality is when I think that my skills aren't what they should be. And I think I'm the only one that knows that and can set that. I know the standard that I want to play at every week.
Right.
And when that time comes, I'll say, all right, I'm done. But I believe I can still do it. And,
So I'm gonna call you the
with the
GOAT.
best.
I'm gonna call you the
GOAT?
GOAT. You're like the
Okay.
Tom Brady of offensive linemen.
That's it. There's no doubt about it.
Ooh, that's a nice way to put
Moving
that.
up the list.
I mean, we
I like
played
that.
we played together. What was it? Back in
Cincinnati, right?
Back in, was it 2010?
2010. Yeah.
2010. It didn't. I mean, on paper, we looked like we were going to be
Batman
doing
and Robin.
Actually, yeah, we were on my parking space.
Mm-hmm.
I was Batman. I came in and took over the original Batman, and I just named Chad Robin.
Robin, he's got to be the
He was
Robin.
your sidekick.
Yeah. But it was a dynamic duo.
Right.
We had fun in the locker room, but again, it wasn't as successful of a season as we would like. And honestly, like I said, I didn't foresee you leaving. The Cincinnati Bengals because you were doing some great things there. Now being here in Los Angeles, can you give us like somewhat about what's the difference in what you experienced there in Cincinnati and what you're experiencing here in Los Angeles with the Rams?
I think obviously the organizations are completely different. I think there was things in Cincinnati I appreciated from the small town. I always tell people it's almost like a college atmosphere in the sense of it's a smaller city. It's really tight. I mean, you're not traveling far to play in the games or to practice or do any of that. But here in LA, it's LA. I mean, there's something to do everywhere.
You really let your hair down when you come down
Hey,
to LA.
yeah,
You let it all down.
Hey, that's it. Let it out. I just let my gray show and live it up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Already.
But no, I mean it's LA. The weather, everything's amazing. And I've had a great time, and the organization has been insane. I think Sean McVay and really just the culture that they have is so special. So it's made it fun to hit it at the right time. And also the league's changed. Like the league continues to change as I've played in it. I've always tell people I kind of hit the sweet spot. Like I was at the very end of what I'd call like the old school two-a-days and try and beat guys up era. And then it's just done nothing but head the other direction since I've been playing in the game. And so that's what's made it so sweet.
So you've
Nice.
preserved your body, like I said, you haven't, like I said, I was part of that old, and he was too, just that beat up two-a-days, wear and tear on your body. Now, like I said, you're here in Los Angeles. I mean, the weather is warmer, it's easier on your joints. I want to go back to 2 years. It was 2 years ago, you guys went to the Super Bowl, very controversial play, and now you have a quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Obviously, vastly different than a Jared Goff. What was that experience like being in the Super Bowl? Because I know we never even sniffed it when we was in Cincinnati. But what was that experience like? And did that invigorate your juices of flowing to really continue to play?
Yeah, I think really the mix of really the autonomy and just power and ability to lead that Sean has given me since I've been with the Rams, and really I always tell people this: our culture is that the coaches and players are really just on one level. Like we're all in this thing together, and that's what makes it so unique with the Rams. And so going to that Super Bowl was insane. It's like I was, in Cincinnati, I made a lot of playoff appearances, won a lot of division championships, and never won a playoff game.
Right.
And so coming to LA, winning playoff games, going to the Super Bowl, it was like one of those things where you're like, man, I've worked my butt off for this moment for forever. So cool to be here. Obviously, it doesn't end the way you want it to, but the reality is there's only one team in the NFL every year that ever has a season where they're actually proud of how it ends.
Right.
And it is what it is. But to me, I would never trade the experience or the opportunity. And then now being here with Matthew and having another team that we have the opportunity to do that. Obviously, a lot of work ahead of us. It's been really special. I mean, Staff's one of those guys. I look at him a lot like a Carson Palmer that we had in 2010. He's a veteran guy who's been around, kind of same demeanor, real calm, casual, cool, collected dude who can sling it. And kind of just for him, he's kind of one of those guys that demeanor he has is what also separates us a little bit. That he's a vet who's seen it and is not scared at any moment and really just wants to go out and throw the ball around and have some success.
Yeah, I mean, I feel where you're coming from. Obviously, going to the Super Bowl, not actually, winning it. It's a bittersweet type of moment. You don't really know anything about that, but
don't laugh at that, Whit. Don't even laugh. Don't laugh.
To go
at that
to the
clown.
Super Bowl, I mean, yeah.
Oh, this is just a conversation for the guys who play.
Yeah, this is us. You know what I mean? We know a little bit about that. You know what I mean? Did you go to the Super Bowl?
No, we played in 2 NFC Championship games. Right, lost both of those, but never went to the bowl.
Oh, shucks,
but,
bummer.
so we all ain't got a ring. All of us.
But
Then
we have it. We're talking experience here.
Yeah, experience. I ain't got it.
So back to what I was saying. Yeah. So obviously the two dynamics that you said with your quarterbacks. You played with Jared Goff. Now you're with Matthew Stafford. What do you think it was with Goff as to why he couldn't, I guess, get over the trajectory in which they drafted him? And because obviously, I'd say there's obviously a huge
expectation
difference with Matthew Stafford and the performance that he's had thus far. And we've all known, I think a lot of people have known, that he's been a great, probably top 10 or 15 type of quarterback. At some point, probably top 5, but he was with the Detroit Lions. He wasn't winning, didn't get to the playoffs. And then when did he get to the playoffs? If not, he didn't really go any further. But now he's on the stage with a great team, and you can see the talent that he has. You put some talent around him, we're seeing exactly what he's capable of doing. So what's the difference between, like I said, a Jared Goff and a Matthew Stafford in the offense that you guys have running?
Well, I think you really look at it. Right now, we're kind of in an era in the league where these young quarterbacks, when I got in it, it's like you didn't play till your 3rd, 4th, 5th year. It's like, how long can we keep the guy off the field? Now it's like the opposite. It's how fast can they get him on the field? And then it's like they want him to play like a 10-year vet in their 3rd or 4th year in the league. And it's like, I think for Jared, it's one of those things that's really, you look at the aggressiveness our organization has had with trying to win and win now. And that's kind of been the motto of everything they've done. And you really look at the stage Jared was in, being in his 5th, 6th year, there's still a lot of things for him to learn. There's still a lot of experiences to have. And really the era that what I say is what really separates Stafford as well, just in a general way. He's been around. He's played 12, 13 years. He's seen it all. You're not surprising him with things. He just needs to, okay, this is the kind of team we're playing, or this is the coverages and how they're going to do things. So I think it's really, you took, a guy who knows what Jared Goff's future is going to be 5, 6, 7 years from now.
Right.
And you said, hey, we can go get the guy who's already been through it all, has a ton of talent, and proven that if you give him just a little bit more, what could he do? And I think that's really what it ended up being a decision about. And that's really 2 differences, is that Jared's a great kid. He was he's a guy that guys loved in the locker room. Nobody really had a problem with him ever. I mean, and was working his butt off. But the reality is that Matthew was a guy who's done it, proved it, been in some of those moments, been a very successful quarterback, and really was the prime age. And really what we see is that you either are winning right now in the league with a really young quarterback and a super talented roster, or you've got a vet quarterback who's been around, seen it all, and they're leading the ship. And I think that's what they chose, is to go with Stafford and a guy who's leading the ship.
So you have 4 Pro Bowls, right? 2 times All-Pro. Now you're in a locker room. How do you go ahead and kind of let the young guys know, like, this is our time, fellas? How do you get that message across to all the young guys, like, every single day about this specific year?
I think what makes it easy for us right now in this current time with us is that with a guy like Aaron Donald and a guy like Jalen Ramsey, Some of the vets that we have, Leonard Floyd, it's guys who literally they don't say anything. They just practice and they just work and they just train and they're ready to be at their elite selves every day, and nobody has to tell them
So they're
what to
leading
do.
by example.
Yeah,
in
and
a
so
sense.
guys get to see that. And when you get to walk in the locker room and you get to see guys like that, who it's like Jalen is livid if like we're winning by 30 and coach takes him out of the game. It's
Right.
like
I
he's
saw that,
so
yeah.
mad and upset, but it's like, oh, okay, well, just come off the field. But at the same time, you're like, man, that's what makes this guy special.
Right, right.
Like he didn't want to miss one op to play this game. Not, oh man, I want people to see me. Like I want to play this game.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And so AD's wired the same way. I think when you got an organization, for me and those guys, it's like all we got to do is just be who we are. And we're put in a situation with Sean McVay. He's not this egotistical coach who says, it's all my thing. He's the guy promoting us like, hey guys, you just do what these guys do it how they do it, and we're gonna have success. And so it puts you in a spot where it's like I don't have to say a lot. They get to see it every day, and it's pointed out to them every day that, some of the best in the game.
Right.
They don't talk a whole bunch.
Right.
They just do it. They work out. They outwork people and they outplay people.
There it is.
So you guys just recently acquired Von Miller from the Denver Broncos. Obviously didn't play in this first game. What do you think he's going to bring? And I'm sure you practiced a little bit against him. What do you see that he's going to bring to the table? Obviously, his body of work kind of speaks for itself. Like I said, I don't really know why the Broncos let him go, but obviously he's a talent. What do you think he's going to bring to the roster?
I think another guy who's that same mold, who just, their actions speak for them, and the way he plays and the production he's had. And since him really just being with us even just for a week, you can feel that with him. I mean, he's already kind of a guy that you can see he's like reaching out to guys, hey man, let me get your number. Let me, like the young guys, like he's already kind of talking to them in their ear. Just another guy that those guys can look up to, a role model to say, hey man, if I want to have a successful career, you know what, I can make a whole lot of excuses, or I can just look at, 5, 6 guys in here that have had really long careers and a lot of success, how they go about it every single day. And am I doing that or not? And I think Von's one of those guys.
Does this, by this addition, does this increase the Rams' chances of winning the Super Bowl? Does this move the lines in Vegas?
I mean, in my opinion, yes. Having played Von Miller in my career,
Right,
yeah,
right.
there's no question about it. He does, and
Okay.
He makes us a better team. And I think it's one of those things where you say it's not like you couldn't have won it without him, but man, he sure makes the pendulum swing in your direction a little bit more and gives you one more chance. Because the reality of this league is, games come down to a score here, a score there.
Yeah.
There's always one team that's got the football 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes left in the game,
Yep.
and they're trying to make a decision. Well, we just improved our percentages when
Getting
that
a
team has
sack
the
or
ball,
getting-
and the only thing they got to do is try and score to win. We got a guy who stops you from doing that, who just added to another great group who's already doing that. So I think Von's going to fit in great. I mean, I know him well. He's a great dude and obviously a great player.
Get Your Popcorn Ready is brought to you by Indochino. I went with the Hound's Claw Burgundy Chino. Blind hem, slanted pockets, tan buttons. Wearing them right now as I'm reading this to you. Most comfortable pants I own. Indochino offers fully custom suits, shirts, and casual wear at surprisingly affordable prices and ships them right to your door. Every piece is made to your exact measurements, and you can customize every detail, which is great, especially when you have a massive, sexy body like myself. Or if you just want to look and shop, go to Seville Row. You can now find Indochino at select Nordstrom stores, giving you one more way to get great fitting and personalized clothing. Find your nearest location at Indochino.com. And even better, right now, you can get $50 off any purchase of $3.99 or more by using the promo code POPCORN. Again, that's $50 off any purchase of $3.99 or more at Indochino, Indochino.com. Promo code POPCORN.
I mean, you're a great player. Andrew, you played for how many years now?
16.
16
I
years.
mean,
Wow.
I'm gonna say it here on this show. You're making a case for Hall of Fame. You're making a name and a case for yourself for the Hall of Fame. Coming out, and obviously longevity plays a big part in it. Two questions. Who was like a lineman, or who was your inspiration to play the position that you played? And then the other thing to this is, who was like the guy that you feel like you were you had to bring your A game. I ain't gonna say you were scared of,
Right.
but you had
Respected
to bring
a whole lot.
Yeah, respect a whole lot, right?
Yeah, but you had to bring your A game.
You know, I would say, honestly, for me, I lucked out. I was actually had this conversation with our young linemen, and that's one of the fun things at my stage now is I get to share stories and tell guys about experiences and all that, and kind of teach them where I got to where I am and how I know these things. When they're like, man, well, how do you know this? How do you have this feel for the game? When I got in the NFL, our right tackle was a guy named Willie Anderson.
Big Willie.
That's
One of the
where I
greatest
went.
right tackles in the history of the game.
Absolutely.
Willie
In
Anderson.
reality, if he played at any other franchise and team and had any amount of success, he'd be a surefire Hall of Famer. I mean, you go watch the tape. He shut down the best of the best.
Yep.
And
I mean, this guy went a number of years with probably like about 6 years with no sacks.
yeah, I mean,
no sacks.
I mean, he's got tape against against Reggie. He's
Reggie
got tape
White.
against Javon Curse. You name
Strahan,
him.
All of them.
You
all
name
the
him.
top
Guys
defensive
got him.
ends.
He's a tremendous player. And so I had him as my right tackle and a guy named Levi Jones, who unfortunately had his
Levi.
career short with some injuries. But I mean, a tremendous athlete. Levi was a crazy athletic tackle, great pass protector. And then Willie was this big mauler guy in the run game, and then also a tremendous pass protector himself. So I really got to learn from two guys who played the game and were really successful at it with two different sets of traits. And so I kind of got to understand some of the quick stuff, some of the stuff that Willie did with power. And so it helped me really kind of mold myself because, as you say, like growing up, I never thought I was going to be a lineman. I was a
Really?
tight end in high school.
Tight end, okay.
I was tall and athletic. I grew up
Better receiver
hooping
than
like I was a
you.
basketball player. I loved playing basketball. That was my favorite thing to do.
Right.
And I always thought that was going to be something I was going to do is either play basketball or be a tight end in college. And at the time, like I was committed to Florida and I thought I was going to go play for Spurrier. And then this guy, Nick Saban, like beats on my door my senior year in high school and was like, listen,
What?
I know you think you're a tight end.
Right, but let me
you're
tell
gonna be
you.
a left tackle.
Yeah.
And if you just trust me, you're going to be a left tackle. And so
All you basketball players, listen to that out there.
hey, big power forwards. If you're only like 6'8",
There it is.
and you can't jump that good, just it's time to do it. But no, so I did it. I moved to tackle, and the rest is history, really. But yeah, so for me, I always kind of just thought of myself as an athlete, and got into college and realized, all right, now I'm going to try to figure out how to be a left tackle. And so, you know, to me, it's always been about that, like molding myself. I almost felt like I molded myself into left tackle. And people ask, well, how are you still playing 39, 16 years in, 230 plus games? Is that I feel like, you know, I've always had the ability to adapt and to say, all right, I'll change my body into whatever it is I need to be to adapt to the setting of playing left tackle. Because I felt like I was never a natural lineman. I wasn't a big, thick kid growing up.
Right.
I was tall and slender, so I've
it's
always
like,
been
you're
adapting.
basically saying it's like moving up in like weight class boxing. You know what I mean? So you're adjusting to
I'm
whatever.
just adapting. Like the game's
Yeah.
changed. When I got
Right.
in 2006 to 10, it was like you're under center almost all the time. You might throw it, you might run it, but you're under
Right,
center
under
most of
center
the
more,
game.
yep.
You know, you're not in the gun. Now it's like you're spreading the field all over the place. You're running all kinds of different plays. Guys aren't lining up right over you. Guys are all over the place,
Yeah.
coming from all. You know, you might have all DBs on the field at one
Yeah,
time. Like,
yeah.
it's just the formations and the things you see are so different. So you got to kind of be a little more of a guy that can move than you could back then.
Oh yeah,
So-
you got to have some quick feet, and
and that's changed.
That-
Right.
yeah.
And for a white guy, I mean, you got to be. I mean, they're not really known for being, you know,
Athletic?
You know, yeah,
That's what
not
you go.
really
That's what you
athletic.
go tell them.
But I got them skinny athletic ankles, man. You know what I'm saying?
There you
I got
go.
them.
So that's where that
There you go.
basketball
That's
comes
it.
in to
That's
play, the
it.
footwork.
The
And that's
dancing
one of the
bear.
things- And I follow Willie Anderson, who played, you said, right tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, lives in Atlanta. I'm good friends with him. If you guys go follow Big Willie on Instagram, it's
Doing his
Big
coach, yeah.
Willie
Get his coaching and training.
7179. As this guy just said, he can vouch for him. This guy should be in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, do the right thing. Put this guy into Hall of Fame. Check his resume. His work speaks for itself. And this guy right here, he played with him, seen his work. I think, again, he has tape against some of the greatest to ever play this game.
Yep.
Reggie White, Strahan, Ochocinco, all these guys.
Yep.
And he's held his own. And
Absolutely.
it's so unfortunate that
He'll
the
be in
Hall
there.
of Fame
He'll be
is
in there.
the way it is that this guy isn't in. I mean, not even up for nomination, which is sad. So get him in that Hall of Fame.
He'll be
please,
in there.
please.
He'll be in there.
Got to.
So, so going back to when you were in college, right? It's probably first time you had to kind of change your position, right?
Yep.
You're probably you weren't that successful at the very beginning.
I can't believe.
Right, you're
knocked
best
on your
SEC
door.
football, right? So, what are some of those things that was going through your mind when you weren't having success at LSU? Because somebody had to come in and like, saying, "Oh, now can I even do this? Can I play this position?" What was going through
Yeah,
your
I
mind
think
at
for
that
me
point?
it was like, in high school, it's like my senior year, it's like you start to transition to like, all right, I'm gonna be a lineman now. I played in a triple option offense. So it wasn't like I was like running around, running a bunch of routes in high school. Anyways, I mean, it was more tight end, play action type stuff. Anyway, so I was basically a lineman. I knew how to run block. I knew how to finish people. So it's like learning how to pass block, learning how to take sets. And it's just a process. And I think for me, like, a lot of people that know me know I'm a golfer. Like I love playing golf, avid golfer. I'm on the golf course all the time. And to me, golf relates a lot to playing offensive line in this sense. Like when I play in a game, I'm gonna play anywhere from 60 to 80 snaps, just depending on the games. Obviously there's outliers. But as an offensive lineman, your goal in those 60 to 80 snaps is to be as good as possible during those 60, like my technique, my body control, the ability to adapt, and be so efficient in that 60 to 80 snaps. And on a golf course, you're going to play a round of golf and you might shoot 100, you might shoot 80, and you might shoot 70, you might shoot 90, but it's all going to be dictated off how many times you can control your technique, how efficient you can be with a golf club in the sense of all the different shots, all the things you got to be able to do and hit them in that exact moment. And to me, so I learned to control my body in college. Like, it's like, man, I'm gonna do this so many times that I've got to feel for how I play. I got to feel for every moment. And so to your question earlier, it's the same thing. Like, how would I know when I'm done? I'll know when I'm done when I no longer can, like, all right, man, I know the exact feeling I need when I set this rusher. Or, man, I don't ever have to watch the tape. I know exactly what was wrong or where my hand was, where my foot slid to. Like, I don't have to see tape to tell me that. I know exactly how this play should have felt and why it didn't feel that way, and I can fix it on the move. Really good football players don't need to come in on Monday for you to tell me what I did wrong.
Right.
I know what I did
Soon as they
in the
do it.
10 seconds that it happened.
Yep.
And I can fix it throughout the game and make sure it never happens again. Or I can even be better throughout the game as the game goes on, and I'll study and learn and feel a guy out. I can consistently improve. And when I can't do that, that's when the game's gone.
So you're talking about, like we said, when the game's gone. So a lot of older players, right? A team always wants to bring them on the roster to kind of be that coach and player. Will you
coach.
be that 6th, 7th swing man on the offensive line, or do you have to be a starter in order to continue your career?
I'm LT1, and that's
There it
it,
is.
man.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's if I'm not doing that, then I'm
you
doing
feel like
another
you're-
role. Yeah, because to me, it's like if I'm not trying to be the best at something, then
Don't
you know
even-
what, I want something else to do. So I'm gonna go find the next thing that I'm gonna be the best.
What
at.
is the next thing for Andrew Whitworth? What's the next
Man.
thing?
Well, looking at you,
know?
I mean, we're in Hollywood. There's commercials. You got the Mr. Clean look.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
You can obviously fill in for Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean, Mr.
Still in for
Clean.
Mr. Clean. But yeah, I mean, that's the other part of living in LA. There's so many options, man. There's a lot of things to do. I just know it's one of those things that when I'm done and I do finally decide I'm going to hang it up, I'm going to sit back for a moment and just kind of feel out what it is I want to go, what I really want to go do.
Right.
Not just jump at things. I want to find something that I want to be a part of and I want to be good at and successful at. And,
So what are your
I'll figure
other
that out.
passions? Like, do you play the piano at home?
No.
Is it just golf? Or,
it's kids,
Right.
golf,
Kids,
and
right.
and honestly, like I love people, man. I love making a difference. I love being in
Awesome.
people's lives and helping people along on their journeys.
Right.
And
Do you have a foundation that you do a lot of
yeah,
stuff?
I mean,
right?
obviously we do a ton of stuff in
What's
LA.
the name of the foundation?
Big Wit 77 Foundation. But
Okay.
besides just that, I mean, it's like raising money for those things through my foundation, but then also making impacts in the community here in LA and trying to be a part of bridging gaps that need to be bridged for a long time. And so to me, really, it's like, hey, if I'm not trying to do something and make something of myself, then I want to make sure I'm in somebody else's ear trying to help them figure out the way that they can make something themselves, or just believing in themselves that they can achieve whatever it is they want. And so that's something to me that is ultimately the most important thing. And you know what? There's a lot of accolades in life, but one accolade I want is that people always say, man, that dude, he was always there for me if I needed him, and he was always there to encourage me, and he always believed in me.
So speaking of in the ear, is your wife trying to get you off the field, into the house more? You have twins, Sarah and Drew,
yeah.
and then you have 4 kids, and
Yeah.
then Michael and Catherine, right?
yep.
So are they tugging on you to spend
You
more
know,
daddy time?
You know what? I would say the kids and the wife are on the same page.
Yeah.
When we moved out to LA, it was like, all right, one more year.
Right.
Once they lived in LA, they're like, man, let's keep doing this.
Yeah,
forever,
as long as you
right?
can.
So it's
Right,
like, hey, Dad, like, you gotta keep playing. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I like
oh, yeah,
this.
they in it. They love it. Yeah.
love
So,
it.
But they love football. They love coming to the games, love being part of things. You know, through COVID, really some unique opportunities came where I actually, you know, kind of changed my gym to being at my house. So I've had like the lineman training with me over the last couple of years, and we'll have 10, 12, 15 guys at the house.
That's a big gym.
Training in the gym. So the kids come sit and watch, and it's been a great experience because my boys especially, who think they want to be athletes, it's like, man, you get to watch like what you actually get to see it.
Put
Like
in
I'll
that
tell
work.
you
Feel
about
it, touch it.
You watching guys work, you know, and Cooper Kupp sometimes at the house working out, and you know, and different guys from other sports have kind of come over and stuff, just that I've formed relationships with my trainer, and so they get to see all these guys and realize like, oh, okay, it ain't just like what I see on TV or in a video game. It's like this is how this guy actually gets there.
They get to see the behind the scenes, like what's really the work, the hard work that's put in to see on Sundays. You know,
don't just show up on Sunday.
The fruits of the labor, so to speak. So kudos to you, Melissa, to all the kids out there, Sarah, Drew, Michael, and Catherine. Stay on him.
That's
He ain't coming home.
They want me
no
out
time
there.
soon.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, your foundation, you like to give back and all those things you were saying. Who kind of was that person in your life to kind of, you know, give you that blueprint?
No energy to make it through the day? Having a hard time putting on muscle? Take it from me, T.O. Your hormones could be the blame. Did you know testosterone levels have decreased substantially over generations? Our fathers' generations had testosterone levels that were 25% higher than ours today. This is not our fault. There are many factors such as environmental changes that are affecting our generation. Today, 30 million men in the U.S. have low testosterone that is affecting their daily lives. Home health can help. Testosterone affects energy levels, muscle mass, focus, and overall mood. Home helps men get testing and treatment for low testosterone from the comfort of home. Hey, I'm not a medical expert, but Home Health is, and they'll be there for you every step of the way. Order Home's easy-to-use at-home assessment test today to learn your testosterone levels. For a limited time only, listeners get the at-home testing and a doctor consultation for only $45. Go to honehealth.com/popcorn to take advantage now. That's Hone, H-O-N-E, health.com/popcorn to get the at-home testing and a doctor consultation for $45.
I think I've just always been kind of aware. I mean, I think it's one of those things. I had a grandmother who was really involved in just, I would say it's not like she was doing foundational things, but she was somebody that's like, hey, every kid or every, you know, person in the neighborhood want to come by and see her. And she's always like, hey, there's 20 kids in the house. She's cooking for them, or she's entertaining people and wanting everybody in and just kind of welcoming people in. And I'll never forget when I was a young kid, a couple times she would like let me, she'd be like, hey, we're going to Super One to go shopping, but I'm going to leave you there for a little while. I want you to bag people's groceries. Nice. And I want you to like get to know people. And so I would sit and like bag groceries and say hey
just
to people
talk to them,
and just talk to them about their day and realize like at a young age, like some people are having good days and bad days and, you know, and just hearing their stories. And so that's really something that's always been important to me because I just realized there's just moments you just never know. And you know, I actually had a really cool occurrence 2 weeks ago. One of the coolest moments ever. We played the Detroit Lions at home, and throughout the game, you know how it is, TV timeout, like you're sitting out there and you can kind of like, you know, you're looking at each other. And I can tell this young kid for the Lions, this kid, Derek Barnes, is like looking at me. And I'm like, man, you know, it's like, I don't know if I know him, but I'm like, is he from LSU? Is he from Louisiana? What's the deal? And I just tell like that on his face, it's like he wants to talk, but he's a young rook, and I'm sure he's like,
don't want to talk to the
that during a game.
Win,
So the game ends, and I'm running on the sideline to see Jared Goff and say what's up to him, and hadn't really seen him since he left, and so I see him, I see a 55 running towards me. I'm like, oh, okay, Barnes running. I'm like, all right, man, dang, I wish I could remember how I know him,
right?
Because obviously he knows who I am. So he walks up, he goes, Andrew, hey man, you're not going to know who I am, so just don't worry about it. Okay. And I'm like, all right. And he
got that out the way.
He goes, I wanted to tell you, I've always looked up to you. I've always like had this admiration for you because you don't realize this, but when I was 8, 9, and 10 years old, I went to the Boys and Girls Club in Covington, Kentucky.
Come on.
When you were the Cincinnati Bengals, and you used to bring me like Bengals stuff, and you'd spend time with me, and you loved on me. He's like, I just want to show you I'm here. Like I made it.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I was literally sitting there like,
that's
whoa.
awesome.
Like I didn't have a reply. I just like gave dude a hug. I was like, dude, that is awesome. And I was like, man, you know what? It's just one of those moments where you're like, man, look, you just never know. Like you never know who you love
people
on
don't
and give a little love to.
understand, but tell me if this is true or not, right? is that a better feeling than a win? Any win? I'm talking not a Super Bowl win, not no big playoff, but just a regular game. Because people think, well, you guys win games, that makes you guys' life. Like, not really.
Well,
Like, those type of
are
moments are priceless moments.
Yeah. Well, it's no different than all the effort and energy you put into being a successful athlete. Like, yeah, it's a team game. Yeah, you want to win, you want to do all those things, but you want to be great at your craft. Yeah. And the effort you put into that, when you have those moments where you play at the level that you expected to play at, and what you thought and dreamed about while you were training.
Right.
Those are great moments. And then to me, that's no different. If I put some energy into a person or into like, hey man, you know what, spending some time with someone, you realize, oh man, like, wow, to see how that's paid off for this person, even though I might not even thought about it at the moment. Right. It's like, wow, that's an amazing feeling. So yeah, to me it is. It's greater than even just a regular Sunday victory is to realize, you know what, like, regardless if the impact I actually had or not had that much of an impact on whether they're there, the fact that they feel that way and that was an inspiration and a positivity thought in their mind, like, hey, this is part of why I'm gonna get to where I'm going. That's awesome. I mean, it's a win that nobody can take away from you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it seems like your grandmother obviously instilled a lot in you of giving back. You mentioned something about, bagging groceries and things of that nature. Is that what prompted you? You recently, during the pandemic, March of 2020, you donated $250,000 to the food bank here in the Los Angeles area. Is that what prompted you to really, I guess, put your efforts to something in an organization in need?
Yeah, I think so, and to also just never be somebody that says I'm about something and I'm not. So if I say I care about people, or if I say I care about the community, or I want fans to come to games, I want people to support us, then I need to show that I'm supporting them. And so for me, it was like the pandemic hit. There's things going on and all over the place. And one thing you can understand is that the people it's going to be the hardest on are those that are less fortunate, or those that don't have the same opportunities as you. And so it was important to me to be involved in that. And then obviously, we had some really cool opportunities last football season with just everything kind of going on throughout the country with injustices and everything else, that we started our own social injustice fund as a player group. And we raised a bunch of money last year.
Wow.
And we're able to give out 25 different donations throughout LA to all different charities and groups. And we got to interview them and be involved and all that. And to me, like, just doing those kind of things remind me of what makes life so special. And that is like when you get the opportunity to see people, regardless of what they look like, where they come from, any of that, love on each other, just be there for one another, and just put everything aside and say, like, what's the ultimate goal? And that is for all of us to reach our dreams, our goals, our aspirations, to have some level of success, whatever we want to define that as, and to do it together. And there's no greater feeling, and that's what sports teach you.
Yeah.
You work your butt off every Sunday and you get that win. You look around that locker room after and you're like, man, the contribution this person made and that person made, that's what makes the feeling so sweet.
Yeah.
And so to me, community is no different. I mean, when you realize the contributions that each person made, and at the end of the day, there's a level of success that was reached, that feeling is really special. And I've always been addicted to that feeling.
Yep, that's how I felt, right? Me clearing out for Randy and Chris. It's like I was the clear out guy, but my job was just as important as their catch in the end zone. You see what I'm saying? See, he's selfish. He just wanted to catch. He wasn't going to be the clear out guy.
You were the guy they could cover. So
there you go.
Cover you.
Take the safety off top so can Randy come underneath and make that catch. And I do my job. You know what I'm saying? So, thank you for that, brother. That's just that hater. That's that hater face. Don't even worry about that, Whit. Don't even worry about that. So again, let's get back to
everybody's got a role, you know what I'm saying?
Everybody know their role, right?
That's right.
And I know my role. So let's go back to 2000, when did you go to Cincinnati? 2008? 10? That was your first year? So, right, you're still younger, right?
Yeah.
You see this probably bigger than life image at the time when T.O. got there. What was your first reaction when you seen T.O. come in the locker room?
I think really, obviously first you're like a huge fan, and then they're there and you get to see them in person and how they do things. And I think it's no different than what other people have said. I mean, watching the work ethic, the time and the energy he puts into like taking care of his body, and honestly, look, like for me, I think at my point in my career, I'm year 5, year 6, which I would argue
still
most
early.
guys, like when you're in that point, like you kind of starting to have injury stuff that's like kind of been going on throughout your career, and you're learning how to deal with it. Like I've had this stuff, little nag stuff, and so you look at this veteran guy who's obviously in the shape he was in and taking care of himself, and you're like, all right, well, like what am I doing to like make sure I'm finding that version of myself, right? And so, watching him do his thing and the way he trained and the way he worked out, and I can remember coming from living in Ohio and being a part of Cincinnati, obviously this organization is not one that's like spending money on advanced technology. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I remember it's like unheard of that like he like had his own workout type stuff or like did his own
what's the
deal.
chamber?
It's like
What's the chamber
The hyperbaric chamber.
The hyperbaric
Yeah, like
chamber.
all
He was
this
one of
stuff
the
people are
first
like-
athletes, and now that's a huge thing
listen,
out there.
The reality is it's like at that time I feel like guys who were like that, there was almost like, oh man, that dude's selfish. Like he has his own way of taking care of his body. Like,
Right.
it's like, and now
And
it's
now-
like now they're
Embraced.
like, oh, you're not trying because you're not trying to take care of your body.
Right,
It's like,
right,
wait a minute,
right.
hold on.
Everything
Like,
that I did, even from the
That's
touchdown
funny.
celebrations, it was frowned upon. It was heavily
Yes.
criticized. Now look at it. It's
Yeah.
being embraced.
Well, you got in the end
now
zone,
it's like
right?
we get guys right now, and it's literally like, oh, this dude doesn't do stuff outside the building. Like he's
Yeah,
not
you're not
worth it.
trying,
He's
yeah,
not
you're
worth it.
not-
I'm
you're not
like, wait a
dedicated
minute,
to
for
the
10
sport.
years ago,
Right.
if people did stuff outside the building, like you're selfish and you're not like putting the team first because
Right,
Yeah.
right.
you're working out when we don't tell you to work out, or you're
Right.
doing whatever it is. You're putting this in your body just because you think it's good for you.
Right.
It's like, and so it's wild how much it's changed. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, he was one of those guys that really was just ahead of his time. Like the way he took care of himself, the way he did those things.
Yep.
And I tried to bring Chad. I tried to bring him on my side. to
Chad
try
just
to
wanted
eat
McDonald's, and that's it.
Yeah, he
You
just
know what I'm
make-
saying?
yeah.
McDonald's and Starbucks. And an occasional
Horrible
cigar,
diet,
and
Chad.
an
It's a
occasional
horrible
cigar.
diet, young fella.
He always has this
Yeah.
Ocho versus
Yeah.
science. Trust me, no, it's
Science.
not.
Trust
No.
science.
I'm science. It should be Ocho versus Tio, and in parentheses in
Science. You're science.
Yeah, I'm science. But yeah, this dude but when I tell you work ethic wise,
Oh.
I mean that's probably why he could eat all that stuff because
Worked
trust me,
it
a
off.
lot of people don't know this about Chad. Chad will work.
Oh, yeah.
When you mentioned Jalen Ramsey getting mad because up 30, getting taken off the field, that's how Chad was at practice.
Yeah. I tell people all the time when I was
telling
first
you.
there, first experience I had with Chad is that we were like ending an OTA practice. And it was one of those days where you just kind of focused on some short yardage things or red zone things, and we didn't do a whole lot of throwing the football.
Right.
And this dude is literally just like livid. At the end, I'm like, man, it's May.
Right,
and
right,
he is
right.
like upset
We
to the
got-
point where he's like almost in
love it.
tears.
No, for real.
And I'm like, what's wrong? And he's just like, I didn't get any work today. Like, that was not enough work.
Right.
And I was like, wow, like just seeing this guy that I'm already looking at before I even got there is having all the success and such a great player. And like his mentality is in May at a random hour-and-a-half OTA. He's like visibly upset because there wasn't enough work put in.
And it wasn't an act.
Right, just
It
he liked to work. I
trust
want
me,
the work.
This dude literally
Yeah.
is like, it was almost like he missed his childhood.
Yeah.
It was like he missed his childhood, and now he's playing football, and this is the best thing
This
that
is-
ever
this is
happened.
my childhood.
Yeah, this is the best thing that ever happened. Dude, it was unbelievable. Like I was like, dude,
hilarious.
Relax.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's in May. We're
in
May.
May, yeah.
Or like I said, we could be doing defensive, be
Yeah.
a defensive period.
Period, right.
He
He still wanna
wants
go-
to be
yeah,
doing
let me go
something.
get
He
some
has
work.
to be moving. I'm like, bro, sit your ass down somewhere, chill out.
100%.
Relax.
But trust me, that's the
that
way
what makes
he
great ones
was.
great ones,
I
yeah.
mean, he's another
Absolutely.
guy too. Obviously, should be in consideration for the Hall of Fame at some point. There's a number of guys like Chad, from your Andre Risons and guys that have
Well,
played.
speaking of Hall of Famers and non-Hall of Famers, there's somebody that might be a Hall of Famer one day. You have a professional opinion on guys you went up against, right? So I want to go over a list with you.
Okay.
Right? And you can only
in.
say 2 words. It's underrated or overrated.
All right.
Right? That's
Oh,
it,
man.
right? So we'll give them the list, right?
Oh boy.
So we're gonna start with some players from back in the day. Jared Allen, underrated or overrated?
Whew, I would have to say underrated. That guy
Underrated.
was pretty special. He had some
Dude.
pretty special moments and dictated a lot of how good his defenses were. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. Dwight Freeney.
Well, I'll never say that guy's overrated.
Because some people he was
Like
small.
who?
Well, here's the reality. Dwight was
People.
one of the first guys, like in my opinion, in the era of when you started like trying to chip, help. Like, dude, you go watch his games. There's 2 or 3 people blocking him on every pass play. I mean, no one almost hardly ever left him one-on-one except for certain situations in games. And so I think that he's one of those guys that kind of in that era of like used to you just went out there and played and really good players could get their sacks or
Right.
whatever. And then they're entered an era where it's like, all right, we might have to eliminate one rusher.
Yes.
And I think he was kind of right in that mold of like that's when they started doing it. They started literally chipping, doubling him. I mean, you had certain protections where the backs just stayed in and helped with him, and that was it. They weren't even picking up blitzers and stuff. So he was a guy who was a really special rusher. And obviously in a great situation. He's for him as a pass rusher, you're playing with Peyton Manning, you're playing with an offense that's putting up points.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of ops to rush. But
Yeah.
he was a really special one. There's no doubt.
What's
about
your feeling? You like Coach Tay Witt? You got to, hey, these couple of plays, you got to hit
We
one
ain't giving you no help, no chip.
Well, I
no-
mean, I think it's one of those things that in the moment you're like, yeah, you want that. But he's definitely one of the toughest guys that you'd ever have. That it's like, all right, there's going to be some moments in this game where I call them those guys where they're going to edge you or they're going to beat you a little bit, and you got to have an answer for how many times can I consistently keep him away from the quarterback long enough for us to get the ball out. But eventually he's going to get close. Or
Hey,
he's gonna
you
have
better
that
hunker down. You better hunker
coming.
down.
Yes,
He's
he is.
coming.
Hey, Witt, you better hunker down.
Better lock it down.
Lock
Yes,
it down.
sir.
Yeah.
All right, John Abraham.
John Abraham.
Jets from the Falcons.
You know what? And I know it's a consistent theme, but underrated as well. I thought John was one of those guys, had he stayed healthy and been in some right situations, unbelievable player. I mean, I thought he was a really, really good rusher.
You're very nice. You're really nice, Witt. You're very nice.
But
Witt.
hey, the reality is those three guys, that's my opinion. They're
Yeah,
guys
I
that,
got you.
Dwight, I think, is one of those guys that I call him underrated just because I think of how much people helped on him. I think a little different than John.
Of course.
A little different than John and Jared. I would say this. Best way I'll say it. John and Jared, I wouldn't say they're guys that like you ever went into games and you said like for me, just at my level, like, hey, all right, we're going to help with this guy. Like, guy like Dwight, you
gotta
helped with him.
You better
I mean,
help.
He was that
might
tremendous
need-
of a
yeah.
rusher. He was that fast off the ball. Like, he was really that good. That's why I say he's underrated. But John, to me, is underrated just because I think that enough guys don't give a little respect of how good of a rusher he was.
It's like me, when
Maybe
I'm on
not throughout the
basketball
game.
Court, they
but a
have to
rusher.
double team me.
Yeah.
You got to double me. You got to double me. I'm on a basketball court. I'm nice, dog.
All right, we can move on to the
We
next
can move
one.
on. Thank you.
I'm with him on a lot of stuff. I'm not.
Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor. You know what? I can't give an answer on the underrated just because I think he's obviously always been heralded as a great rusher.
Right,
and I didn't really play him. I didn't play him. So
Okay,
I don't have a
all
great
right.
opinion on that
All
one.
right. Terrell Suggs.
Ooh.
Suggy.
I'll say this. This is why I'll say underrated. Because I think he falls in line with James Harrison in the sense of what they did play in and play out was bigger than what
bigger.
people realize. It had more to do than just sacks. I think there's guys in different areas where you're like, hey, man, this guy was a sack artist, like rushing the passer's their thing. Terrell Suggs and James Harrison literally would eliminate one side of the field. Like, you're not running the football over here. You're not leaving this guy one-on-one with me over here. Like, they would pretty much ruin game plans if you ever thought you're going to run towards Terrell Suggs and James Harrison. That's who they were as players. Like,
So what they bring to the table, some of the, like in basketball, some of those things that just don't show up. in
yeah,
the
they
stats.
just don't
show up
show
in the
up.
stat sheet.
And the
Yeah,
truth
just
is, you
those
go look
things.
how many times teams just literally couldn't run it that direction because those two guys were on the field.
Balling. Okay. One more. I think I know what you're going to say, but I still want to hear it. J.J. Watt. Because again, he's a dog, right? He's a dog, right? But
Ooh,
again,
boy,
so,
we both scratching our heads on this one.
Man,
because
how long this show last?
Hey, we about to wrap it up.
it's turning to heat up in this joint.
We about to button it up.
I'm going to take,
This is a good one. Oh, man.
you know what?
Ooh, man.
I think it's still allowed in America. I'm going to plead the fifth on that one.
Okay, there it is. I like it. I like
Wow,
it because
okay.
you still might see him in the playoffs or
No,
later
he's
this
injured.
season.
He's hurt. He's out for the season, I
Not
think.
for the season though. He
Yeah, he might could come back. That
He
yes,
might
they're
come
saying.
back playoffs.
What is it?
Man, I think he blew everything. Like, I think it's like pec,
Pec,
rotator
yeah,
cuff,
the
all this
whole-
type stuff. I'd be
But-
pretty insane if he comes back and plays.
But this is something that he had. This is something he had before. Is this a reoccurring?
He's had a couple of these, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, man, big as he is, like, what are you doing?
Well, let me ask you this
He
then,
need
right?
to
Of
get on the
course.
TO program, man. That's
Is that what it
no.
is?
Yeah,
Please
bro, he
no.
need to get on that TO program, man. You know what I mean? I don't do stuff for the gram, you know what I mean? But I do stuff behind the scenes. Keep it sexy, you know what I mean? And when you're ready, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Wah, wah.
So I'm just letting you know.
Always ready.
Always ready. So I'm telling you, Sean McVay, I'm telling you, I'm right here in your backyard. You're going to need a receiver by the end of the year. I'm your guy.
Sean McVay. Don't listen to that dude. He lying. You got something else to say to Sean?
See, that's why I'm EP. We get to cut that out.
Yeah, that's right. You get to cut that out.
So let me go back to some more football talk. So, of course, you play with Aaron Donald, right? He's considerably one of the probably top 10 ever right now, right? Let's say, to me, I personally think he's a mix between like Reggie White and Johnny Randall, in my personal opinion, right? So give us your top 5 D linemen of all time. And again, it could be a pass rusher, a three.
We talking when I'm playing or all time?
All
Yeah,
time.
I mean, you've been
And it's
playing
just
a
top
long
five. It doesn't
time.
have to be 1 through
You've
5.
been playing a long time.
That sounds like the jokes I hear at work.
Right.
15 plus. I mean,
15
that's,
plus.
That's a stellar
You got a
career.
professional opinion, right? Nobody can hold.
And I don't even,
Man,
for me, I don't even know why people look at that as a bad thing. Because if you playing those number of years and you can play in different eras, that means you're doing something
doing
right.
something great.
100%.
You're doing something
Doing
right,
something
my
great,
friend.
man.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, being able to last in a league like this, where if you praise these great rushers and these great guys, their ability to get to the quarterback, if for 16 years people keep signing you up to keep them from
Stop
getting
them.
there,
Right, exactly.
You ain't lying.
something's going on.
Right.
doing
The thing
something
is,
right.
they may not know your name. We're gonna make sure they know your name by the end of this show. But at the end of the day, if they're watching and they know your name, you're not doing something
Andrew
right.
Whitworth.
Because you
Know his
hold it,
name.
that means you're doing something. If y'all know Whitworth by watching the game, then you're not doing something right.
Right.
That's 100%.
You don't
They're
want
not
that
supposed to
flag.
know your name.
Right,
I want them to not
exactly.
know me.
Yeah, you don't want that
That's the
flag.
truth. Like
Exactly.
I said, I don't ever want them to say my name.
Right,
That's
right,
true.
right.
Ever.
So let's go to what your top 5?
Yeah, top 5 defensive linemen. And again, it could be a pass rusher, 3 tech, 1 tech.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever 5 can't come.
I mean, if we're
come to
talking
the
all
dome.
time, obviously you got guys I think that fill that list up pretty fast. But I think, I mean, there's Reggie White, there's Bruce Smith, there's Lawrence Taylor,
Right, right.
John Randall, and I think in my opinion, I think AD's on that list.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of people put
And
him
I think
on
there's
that
a
list.
lot of really good players that you're omitting by saying that, but I think AD, if you look at the
I
body
don't
of
know
work,
who the other guys are, but to put him fight, like that means he's leapfrogged
I mean,
some
was he-
guys that I
He's
don't
in,
know.
he's in
Three-time?
there. 3-time defensive player of the year.
Yeah, MVP. I
Defensive
mean,
MVP. That's amazing.
That's
Right.
pretty insane. And
Pretty
what
stellar.
he does now, and you go watch teams, like literally there's 2-3 people blocking him every play.
single
And,
play.
I mean, he gets isolated, he wins.
Right,
Like, that's
and-
how the game goes. Like,
Yeah.
to be that level of elite
Dominant,
is just
yeah.
absolutely crazy.
And I think his greatness is kind of minimized, especially when I hear, commentators, especially you go on a stretch of games and he doesn't get a sack. But that's really a credit to his talent
Yeah,
because
because they're putting 3 people
right,
on
they're
him.
putting 2 and 3 people. Like you want the guy to be Superman.
Yep.
So yeah, if his stats aren't as good as they were the year prior, there's probably a reason for that. And again, that can hurt from I guess.
But people who know.
Right, but again, but to people listening to commentators like, oh well, he's having a down year. By this time last year he had X number, X amount of sacks or what have you. But again, to his credit, these are things that don't show up. They don't help the audience realize that this guy, again, the reason he's not, performing the way he probably should,
Because
is
he's getting
like that,
triple
he's
teamed.
not being isolated. Yeah,
Well, and
he doesn't-
a guy like Leonard Floyd's winning because he's one-on-one.
Yes.
Right.
Because
Then-
you're having to put so much attention to Aaron that
Yes.
Leonard Floyd's getting a ton of one-on-ones,
Yes.
so
Right,
now
yeah.
he's winning. Or,
Right, now
or
you
whoever
have-
it is, the other D tackles, one-on-one, he gets a sack
Right,
because
you having the
no one's paying
emergence.
attention to anybody else other than him.
Right.
And that's the reality. And he's still putting up numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
And these
Well, the
other
good
guys-
commentators, they'll circle it. They'll be like, see, there's 3 people on, and
Right.
then the back also chipped him on the
Yeah.
way out. You know what
And
I'm
I think
saying?
the other thing that's amazing is like even less about that as much as go look how many times he is one-on-one and doesn't win. It's insane. Like he always like, okay, this one play, you decided to not double him. He won.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like tackle for loss,
Okay.
sack,
Okay.
got in the quarterback's face. You're like,
Okay,
man,
let me ask you this: 3 reps, 1-on-1, you and AD, 1-on-1,
we playing out on the edge.
out on the edge, where you like.
I feel good about on the edge.
You got 2 to
different
1
world
or
out
3-0.
there. Different kind of rushing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'm going 2 for 3 for sure. Probably 3 for 3.
Yeah, okay, you heard it.
I mean, he's going to disagree, but
Of
that's
course,
all right.
yes. Well, he should,
He can
right?
disagree all he wants.
all he wants to.
It
It
ain't
don't
ever
matter.
gonna happen.
It don't even matter.
Ain't nothing wrong with some disagreements.
No, I know y'all competition.
Because it ain't even gonna happen. Because if that was gonna happen, I wouldn't practice that day. I'd say something's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
my ankle.
My ankle.
Right.
My
Whoops, that's my day off. Sorry.
So we're going to let you enjoy. We're going to get you to enjoying your day off. So I like that segue. But before we get out of here, I want to ask you this. You've been to the Super Bowl once. That you remember that feeling, just to get there. You knew the feeling of loss. What is it going to take for the Los Angeles Rams to
LA
get
Rams.
back? Yeah, the LA Rams to get back to the Super Bowl, not just get there, but to win it.
I think continuing on a really a path where you understand that where you're at in the current moment is not where you're trying to stay. And so are we trying to get better? Are we trying to improve? Are we looking at things and we're saying, hey, what are some of the things that have been exposed throughout the season when you say, hey, you have some of these losses where you're like, all right, yeah, the ball could have gone this way and that way for you, but what did this team find to expose a chink in your armor? How do you fix it? You know, and
Would
you
that
really
be
look
the
throughout
Tennessee
the season.
game? Where you would
Yeah, I mean, I think there's multiple games that you can look at, even games you won, where you're like, all right, this team came with this was their strategy
wrinkle,
for how to stop you. And I really think you look at an NFL season, you'll see teams go on these stretches of success, and then all of a sudden it gets ended. And the reality is it's because somebody's found a way, identifies a way, this is how you stop this team. And the real teams that end up competitive at the end are the ones that they keep responding to that strategy. Like, all right, that's your strategy. Now we'll attack it like this. And now we'll be better because of that. And it's those teams that get stopped at it that don't have any more success and can't build it further. And so can we keep just evaluating ourselves and making sure that we're always ready for that next roadblock and how to get through it? And I think that's the most important thing. And that's something to me throughout my career that's what matters the most as a team, is to continue to see that, a team that's willing to just keep rising to the next challenge.
So if you get to the Super Bowl this year, is there a different outcome?
I think we get to the Super Bowl this year is 100% the different outcome.
You heard it right here. He's just guaranteed. He's just guaranteed.
100%.
All right, man. We appreciate you. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks for
you,
coming
Whit,
out,
man.
man. We appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's a blast.
No doubt.
Man. Anytime.
Get your
brother.
popcorn
Andrew
ready.
Whitworth.
Get
Yes,
ready.
sir.
Yes,
Yeet,
sir.
yeet. The
Let's
LA
go.
Rams. Holla. Get your popcorn ready. Peace.
Man, that was a good show, man.
Hey, man.
Once again, we bringing that heat. Bringing that Los Angeles Rams heat to you.
LA Rams. Isn't the LA Rams or the Los Angeles Rams? I think it's the Los Angeles Chargers and the LA Rams. I think specifically to be
What
correct.
does LA stand for?
Los Angeles, but they like to go by the LA Rams. But anyway,
What does LA stand for?
laugh aloud.
Oh, that boy, hey, that word fire side of your brain was
on fire.
He's like, But yeah, man, I mean.
Hey, we'd like to thank Andrew Whitworth for coming out, man. Again, hope you guys go ahead and try to. I don't know if I'm going to pick the Rams for the Super Bowl right now because there's so many good teams in NFC,
Hey, man,
but I
he
want to see
guaranteed.
him get a ring for sure.
He guaranteed.
I want to see him ride off into the sunset the right way.
As he mentioned toward the end of that segment, that they're learning bits and pieces of what they can do and what they can't do from their wins and their losses.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep, there it is. Appreciate you, Andrew Whitworth. And Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast.